Surprise, I'm live. It's Saturday, and not a lot has happened, but we still have stuff to talk about, so that is why I'm live. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to the stream. So, we're going to talk about a little bit of updates on how much Bitcoin is in circulation, what is going on with Ethereum and its amount of inflows and outflows, that be from ETFs, from countries, from companies. We'll be discussing that. Some small updates on what's going on in Venezuela and what's next for, the S&P 500, MicroStrategy not getting added to the S&P 500. We'll talk about all of that and more. So should be a good stream for tonight. Bitcoin has decayed down to 110,330 is the current price. Low volatility, of course, it is a Saturday, so we shouldn't expect too much from the markets. RSI level below 50. Wow, I'm already yawning. It's going to be a boring stream. Have some tea. Yeah, I wasn't originally planning to stream because I had a minor commitment, but I ended up backing down on it. I couldn't do it. It's fine though. So we're back here. We're live. We're talking about all this stuff. Look at that. World Liberty Financial just making me some money right now, just for no reason at all, which may or may not take profits. Who knows? Currently still at a loss for Bitcoin here, 1,700. I'm not concerned at all. And I have not been for this whole time. This number has gone positive, and I've seen it positive, and oh boy, my take profit finger is twitching when that happens. But I have self-control, and I know it will continue higher, so I gotta have that inner strength to not sell too early, because I have my take profit up here already, so I should not be concerned about it. That's the profit I'm expecting from Bitcoin. With the minimum price, like, how am I explaining this? My price target for this year is at 135,000. And that's being like super conservative, super realistic, like yes or yes, we're gonna hit 135,000 for at least this year, end of this year. A lot of people are saying we're going to go much higher. Hey, so be it. I'm going to play it very safe. Maybe I'll regret it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will be correct. Maybe I will be incorrect. Maybe I miss my take profit by $1. That's happened to me in the past. That would just be devastating at a large scale, but I think I'll be smart enough to take some profits beforehand if that were the case. If I see the prices like super close to it, I'll just be like, yeah, just give me the 20 grand. And I'm paying a lot in commission, so I can't really afford to wait too long. I'm already down $500 in those harsh funding fees. It's a cruel world in the futures market, but it is what it is. It's what makes us money, so we must do nothing but, comply, I guess. So that's kind of what we got going on here. We're expecting new pivot levels tomorrow. I'm excited for that, just to kind of help determine where are we headed next. This pivot level worked out really well, right? The resistance, resistance went at 13,000. We hit exactly that level on... I'm yawning. Yesterday, September 5th, because of the non-farm payroll data that we got. Unemployment data. Unemployment is high. Not adding enough jobs. We need some quantitative easing. Guaranteed rate cuts in the meeting of September 17. And a very high chance that we will get 3 rate cuts for this year. The market really liked that. But then we got exposed to over-leveraging and then just... I guess just other macro factors, like people are now concerned about Venezuela, it seems like. My question to you is why? Anyway, I think we'll be able to put all that behind us, and I guess it's fine. We're rebranding these cartel organizations in Venezuela to terrorist organizations. And that is what would enable the US military to get involved with all their advanced weapons system to start attacking these cartels. The problem is the cartels are all over the place. They're involved in the governments. They're involved in a lot of countries. So it's going to be really hard, and it's not going to be like it's not going to be a walk in the park by any means. It's not going to last a day or two. This is going to go on for months, if not years. And it all has to do, of course, with the war on fentanyl, the drug that is killing a lot of Americans. So I can understand why it's going on. Doesn't concern me specifically. I don't consume fentanyl. I know nobody in my family does or ever will. But I understand and I feel for the rest of the people who are falling under the substance abuse. So, you know, everybody's lives matters. So we got to value that and try to protect everybody at all costs. So if that means, you know, going to war against the cartel or drug gang members, whatever, so be it. That's all up to the US government, not up to me. And they're taking matters into their own hands. And as I'm speaking, I'm losing money, so I better get through this analysis quick. You know what, I'm gonna have a look at what is going on with World Liberty Financial. It seems like freezing those assets was the right move against Justin Sun, right? Banana Man. If you don't understand the banana thing, it's do you guys recall, like, there was this painting, or not even a painting, it was quote unquote art for sale back during this whole NFT craze. It wasn't specifically having to do with NFTs, but it was just like, you would see the most stupidest thing and people would call it art and they'd sell it for hundreds of millions of dollars. One of them was a banana that was taped with this gray tape on a white board, and that was it. Like, that was the art, just a banana taped on the board, and that sold for a couple $1 million. And guess who bought it? That's right, Mr. Justin Sun. So weird guy, honestly. Whatever. He's heavily invested in the project, World Liberty Financial. He's making a lot of profit. Of course, he said he will not be selling his tokens. That is a promise that he made. And the reason he said that, it seems like, is because he found a loophole. He showed a lot of people, like, hey, look, you could stake your tokens over here, 20% APY. That's pretty good, isn't it? Only to later make the exchange sell those users locked up funds in staking so that he could indirectly take profits that way. Cool workaround. He's wise, isn't he? But a lot of people caught on as like, hey, you're not allowed to do that. You're manipulating user funds. So the World Liberty Financial Institution took it upon themselves to blacklist all of Justin Sun's addresses. That's what's been going on if you were not caught up in the lore. And they're like, oh, but you're becoming the sole thing you sought out to destroy, that being central banks, right? Banks can freeze your account and lock your funds, your checking account, if they don't like you, or if something's going on, you're what do they call it? Like a politically risky person or something like that. It's happened in Canada too with the truck protests, the truck driver protests. They froze bank accounts, stuff like that. So they're like, we're going to do this in a decentralized way where, you know, in crypto, they can't do that to you. Well, unless your project is a little centralized around an entity, then yeah, I guess they can do that to you. And they did do it with Justin Sun and a couple others as well. They claimed it was due to, you know, malicious actors, people trying to hack and that kind of stuff. So they do have a certain degree of control. But, I mean, Justin Sun, I argued, he invested in the project, right? He deserves to take some profit. He owns a good stake in the company. Well, yeah, you know, because of the amount of tokens that he bought. One of the top buyers, if not the top buyer. And as much as he says he's not going to sell, I mean, if he eventually decides to sell, he should be allowed to, because it's the right of just a regular investor, right? You invest in something, you should be allowed to take profits from it. Just like I am right now. I will be soon. I don't know whether to take profits here. I saw this number at 170 something, 177 I think. Maybe I'm just being greedy for $10 and that would cause my untimely demise. So might have to take profits here. I don't even know. We're not even overbought yet. But an 18% rise or a 20% rise now on a Saturday, I don't know. I'll just grab the 160 and call it a day, to be honest. Because, well, I don't know. I do want to invest in the project, like for long term, because I do have faith in it. I have faith in the Trump family. They seem like they obviously know what they're doing. They do have plans for it. They don't want to see this kind of a project fail. Yes, they have meme coins out already, and yes, they look like rug pulls if you zoom out. So a lot of people are skeptical with this kind of stuff. This goes up to 167 again. I'm gonna hit the sell button. How much am I paying in fees? It's not too bad. Yeah, I think it's about time we take some good profits here. And also, can we talk about this super trend? What is this curve? I've never seen that almost ever. Like, what? Explain this price act. What is this called? Anyway, resistance at 23 if you care for World Liberty Financial. We're at 22 right now. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to probably call it a close early. But we're not at the numbers that I want. So I'll wait it out for a minute. But yeah, that's kind of been happening with World Liberty Financial, and it's not just Justin Sun, like I said, who has been blacklisted. It's also other people, and they're not happy as well. They're calling World Liberty Financial a scam because their assets are also frozen, which it sucks. And it's something that, you know, Eric Trump has gone live on TV to talk about how banks have also frozen his bank account, right? So that's why he wants to create a crypto project where that kind of stuff won't happen, but then it is happening. So weird lack of trust going on there. 165 I saw, whatever. So yeah, I don't think there's any specific news driving up the price here other than the fact that, hey, we can put this whole Justin Sun thing behind us now and move on forward, expecting a lot of good stuff for this project. So that seems to be the market sentiment for now. Do I just hit close on a 160 profit? It's going to just rise as soon as I hit sell. And if I don't, it'll drop. So it's a lose-lose situation. The only way to win is to just call it quits here. I saw this number at 170 something though. I'm being greedy. I'll leave it there. We'll see. I have the whole stream to decide, so I'll take it slow. Wow, so we just suddenly turning green here. Let's talk about the rest of the coins here. Ethereum 4,289. I still have my order at 4,164. I still have faith in that price level. We are still on a downtrend for Ethereum, even though, like I said, we are super high up already for Ethereum. We just hit a new all-time high like a week or two ago. So we're just kind of coming down from there. And, you know, because of that, oh, we're in a downtrend. I mean, fair enough. Same deal for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has already flipped to an uptrend by now, right? We've already officially bottomed out at 107,000. So I'm content with my average price of 112 approximately. We break that, 113. A lot of liquidations over here should drive us immediately to 117. Also filling up CME gap is what I'm expecting for Bitcoin. So I have a very positive outlook for it. I'm keeping my eye on World Liberty Financial. If we do cross 170, I'll probably consider taking profits here. Solana is still above 200. Kind of dipped a little below. 199.27 was its lowest point. And current price is 201.75. So maintaining, of course, 200 as a psychological level of support. Super trend has risen to 190. I have a Fibonacci retracement at 194 with an order there. If we do drop there, it's looking less and less likely as time goes on. I was mainly hoping for the 187 re-entry again. If you don't know the lore here, I bought around 178, I think, for Solana. Could have taken a profit at 217. I was here. I was looking at the price when we were at 217. Yeah, you see it's 20 o'clock on the chart right there. That's like 8 p.m. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to put a take profit at 219 because that would give me X amount of money. And if not, I'll put a stop loss at 200. It did not continue rising to 219. Decided to drop the $17 instead. Hit exactly 200 and then, you know, hit me with a stop loss. Sure, I made some profit, but it wasn't as much as I would have wanted. So I am practically out of Solana, unfortunately. I mean, if I just held the whole way, I don't know, could have still been in, you know, I sold at 200, I would be in still even higher in profit by then, but it is what it is. So now I'm like, okay, I'm stuck here. Got to find new entries for Solana and hope that they're great. And the fact that we're in an uptrend kind of scares me. I don't want to really enter yet. I want to see the price of Solana kind of retrace a bit. Solana's been holding up very strong compared to the rest of coins, right? Which is a good sign overall. But I don't want to miss out on the train, the FOMO train, you know? So yeah, that's what we got for that Solana. XRP still in a downtrend. Micro adjust that. Could break out soon. Super trend is on its way down currently. Should coincide with a new pivot level that we get tomorrow. My average price is 279. We're at 281, so that is in very slight profit. I did not mean to move this. And I mean, the only support that I see is like 270 for XRP. I did buy down here already at the low point of 272. I think that was the same low point over here. So that dropped my average price. I think it was 282 or something before. Dropped it to 279. Yeah, so I feel like XRP, it's got long-term potential, but like for this cycle, I don't know. I'd rather invest in other stuff. And I've mentioned the argument of SUI versus XRP. I'm more bullish on SUI than I am on XRP. I feel like SUI has more potential to rise, right? We're currently at my entry price for SUI, speaking of it, 335. Resistance clear at 345. We have some support at 323, it seems like, and I was hoping for another order to get filled at 303, which it has not dropped that low yet. Downtrend is still there for SUI, so we just got to keep our eyes peeled with that. I'd wait to see if there's new pivot levels. If this is indeed bottom, 310, I draw a new Fibonacci level from our high. What am I doing here? Is this even right? This is not even right. What was I doing? Okay, I'm looking at these levels wrong. This is kind of what we're supposed to be looking at. Oh, well, that explains that support there at 310. Because Fibonacci level was at 311. Okay. Hey, I may have missed out on a buy on SUI, but that's fine. No, I did purchase over here at 3, and it was 323. I would have read at 310. So we still got a lot of volatility though, so buying at these prices I think is a good bargain. I'm upset. Okay, well that was just a failure of my own analysis, I guess. It's fine though. Like I said, if we do bottom out over here either way, I would have to draw our Fibonacci like this to kind of find resistances, what we're looking at next. It's looking like, yeah, 342, 345, like I mentioned. Yeah, I'd probably wait for new pivot levels to generate first. So I'm keeping this here for now, and I'll lock it in place. Chainlink 22.26 is the current price. My average price is 22.87. I have another order at 21.24. These are very close to the Fibonacci levels. Yeah, I'm expecting that to hit. Downtrend is still there. 23 resistance. 23.75, 23.80 approximately. Not much else to say for Chainlink. I mean, it's good that they finally integrated with the United States to bring economic data on chain. That's good stuff. So did Python Network. So, yeah, those are doing good. Okay. Cardano, also very low volatility here. Not much going on with it. Support, I'm looking at 76 for that. Other than this, I mean, we're at my entry price 82. Not much has changed. Super trend is kind of coming down a little, so that would reinforce the 86 resistance if we ever do get there. But I mean, like, we've had very, very low movement for Cardano. Maybe a breakout will happen soon. Remember Cardano at 50 cents? That was the good old days. Litecoin, hopefully breaking out of this soon. I do want some movement from Litecoin already. We're at the entry price of 112. These orders did not get filled. That is so annoying, but it's fine. If that is the bottom, what is bottom here then? 106. I couldn't tell you what the next resistance levels would be. We'd have to wait for pivots. New pivots to generate tomorrow. Or we could look at monthly ones, but I tend to pay less attention to those because it's a broader time scale, right? 116 probably be the next resistance if that does indeed play out. But for now, it's too early to tell, so I'd ignore it. Stellar, 35 cents. My entry is at 37. I have another order at 33 that did not get filled yet. World Liberty Financial 185. I think it is time to sell. What do you guys reckon? Yeah, let's do it. 189. Got it. 191. It's probably going to hit 200, but I'll just guarantee the profit. Oh, 188. Ah, fair enough. Made 186. Good. So far, World Liberty Financial has made me almost $300 in total. Good, good. Thank you. Thank you, Trump. And what else am I in? Sonic. Sonic, very bullish on the project, but you got to be cautious at this time. I like that super trend just shooting down over here very, very preemptively. We're almost at 30 cents here. But we're neither overbought nor oversold either. Like, RSI momentum is just kind of in the middle. I do wish we get some more volatility on Sonic. Either way, toward the upside or toward the downside. How much do I have? 500, okay. Yeah, I don't know, I'm probably gonna have to reconsider this entry. Might be a little too low. I might have been a little too bearish on the fact that we might get a lot of tokens added to circulation. I didn't look at the token unlocks for Sonic. Should I look that up? When our token unlocks for Sonic? Hold on. Sonic tokenomics. September 9 is when we're getting more tokens. And that drops the price, by the way, because you're adding more to the supply. And if the demand remains the same, it's going to drop. But I expect demand to increase over the coming months with, you know, the treasuries that will be approved and ETFs. And the token burning mechanism, if it does get popular enough. Great, I'm happy that this is loading. So, there we go. Alright, anyways. That's what we got for Sonic. What else do I have? Ave's just doing its own thing. I think we were really close to hitting this. That is insane. It did not hit. Okay. Alright. I don't know what I gotta do to make these orders get filled. Do I just buy here? Nah, weekend decay. It'll hit. No, imagine we just bottom here. I have like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm lucky, sometimes I'm not. It's like a coin toss at this point. The whole market is a coin toss. You're either right or you're wrong. There's no in between. Unless you're invested in Pengu and you're just in between. You know what I'm saying? Pepe, what is Pepe doing? Stuck in the middle as well. Meme coins, I feel like they still have the potential to come back. And a lot of them I feel like are at a good price. Like, we're close to our 22nd of June lows. Is this April 7? No, not even. This is April 7. Okay. That's at 0.5. I'm liquidated down there at 0.6. That's fine. Aptos also very, very safe play in my opinion. I'm upset this did not get filled on that drop, but it's still relatively far. How much am I in with Aptos? 1,000. Yeah, I would like to increase my exposition in here. Super trend dropping, that is always good. Down to 439, while price maintains itself stable, meaning that a breakout is happening very soon. This gets tighter, right? Or price just follows lower, which that would be not ideal. But I'm expecting a good week for this week. And I know I said that like 3 weeks in a row now, but I really do expect a good week this time. It has to, right? Guaranteed rate cuts, CPI, PPI, like, I don't even know, like, what do we expect with inflation anymore? That's coming out Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday and Thursday, right? Wednesday, PPI, Thursday, CPI, yes. So it's like, okay, what are we really scared about? Why are we not mooning by now? What else was I going to look for? This. Guaranteed rate cut. I hate this. Why does it have to be like all white? Can I like make this dark theme? No. Can these guys hire me as a software developer or a web developer? I know how to change themes to dark theme. That's what my specialty is. And if you got a job out there for me, hire me on that. 89% chance we got a rate cut. Oh, scary. Oh no. That's a guaranteed rate cut, guys, because 11% chance we get a second, like this is a 50 basis point rate cut percentage, right? The fact that we have no percent chance of keeping rates where they are, that's just a guaranteed rate cut, right? And in the aggregated probabilities, we have 1, 2, 3 rate cuts by December, right? By the end of this year. So that should be bullish. Seems like markets are not yet pricing that in. They're concerned with other stuff. It's fine. Yep, that's all my positions. Wow, I spent a little too long talking about this, didn't I? Getting a little too into it. All right, it's fine though. We'll talk about the news that we have. It's not a lot, but it's enough either way. I forgot to report on Canada's economic data that we also got yesterday. It was not just non-farm payroll from the United States and unemployment from the United States. Well, so is Canada. And newsflash, Canada's doing much worse than the United States. So there we go. Unemployment rate jumps to a 9-year high with 66,000 jobs lost in August. Compared to America, America gained 23,000 jobs. At least they gained jobs, right? Unlike Canada, we're losing 66,000 jobs here. America was expecting 70 something thousand jobs. They only made 23,000. So it still wasn't good enough, but they added jobs nonetheless, unlike Canada. That's the bottom line. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. I will admit that kind of title, it sounds pretty cool. He says that we are ready for regime change in Venezuela. It seems like this is what now they are seeking for in Venezuela. Of course, they do want to topple the Maduro regime. They think he's a dictator. They think he stole the election. I explained that on yesterday's stream as well. So that's what Pete Hegseth has been saying. The final decision to change the regime in Venezuela is up to President Trump, the president of no new wars. The U.S. Navy has now amassed a small armada in the Caribbean as the cartels coming from Venezuela F around and find out. FAFO. 3 guided missiles destroyers, a cruiser and attack submarine, and 3 amphibious ships loaded up with 2,000 Marines. What is Nancy Pelosi doing here? Reason to believe boat strike was illegal. Oh, of course, yeah. They're calling I talked about this as well yesterday. They shared footage of just a boat with some cartel members on there transporting we don't know what. There was no like, hey guys, what are you guys doing? There was nobody who stopped them to ask like, what are you carrying on your boats? Are you guys cartel members? Are you trafficking drugs? No, none of that. They just showed a footage of an aerial angle. An airstrike hits the boat and everybody on board dies. Supposedly they were cartel members, right? But it wasn't confirmed or any of that. And then that footage gets released, and of course people are like, yeah, good, screw them. But the Democrats, on the other hand, to the left, they're like, oh, but we should have asked them, like, what are you guys doing, you know? They're calling it an illegal strike already. Crazy. And that's kind of a little beef that's been going on Twitter with JD Vance and Brian Krassenstein. Brian Krassenstein, I think, is a left political commentator. I'm assuming. I don't know too much about him, based off the little bits that I know. And then, of course, JD Vance came out with his own comment on what has happened. He said, killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military, is what JD Vance has said. Brian Krassenstein says, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. That seems to be the argument of the left with all this. JD Vance says, I don't give a shit what you call it, right? And that's like ownage, like, wow, the vice president, he's so cool. He just said the S word. And of course, Brian is like, okay, I think this thread tells you everything you need to know about JD Vance and the way he views law and order. Pathetic. He should be impeached for this tweet. So, yeah, that's not going to happen, but it's pretty funny to see these guys fight it out on Twitter over what's going on. Obviously not hilarious that people have died, but hey, if they're cartel members, they're poisoning the Americans like JD Vance says, yeah, screw them. Like, that's what they know what they're getting into. Maybe they don't have a choice, but who knows? It's not right to do it, and they should have that moral compass in them that should advise that to them. Anyway, moving on from Venezuela, I want to talk about Microsoft, what has been going on with them. First, I want to start it off with some technical analysis on Microsoft here. People are saying that it looks like Microsoft is going to dump. There's a big gap around 20% below the current price. I'm not one to believe that gaps get filled in the stock market because I don't think that's usually the case, right? It's just, it is what it is. Like, if there's a gap there, whatever. It's not going to go back and get filled eventually. Maybe it does because price does its own, you know, movements of ups and downs, right? It's never up only or down only. So there's that. But the fact that, okay, we're going to drop it to around that point, I mean, maybe psychological levels are there, but I don't think we're going to crash immediately to that kind of thing. Anyways, Microsoft CEO dumped 15% of its holdings, which isn't a good look as well. Given that crypto follows the stock market, a dump could be bad for crypto too. I don't think we will dump in the stock market. Stock market's been hitting all-time highs, and they're optimistic about the rate cuts that are coming. It's going to benefit companies for their earnings, quarterly reports, and it's mainly the smaller companies, the smaller businesses that benefit the most from interest rate cuts, right? Because they could, what is the word? They could, it starts with an O, whatever. On board, on, it's something like that. For their business, like they could spend more to improve their business, whatever that word is. I forget what it means. But yeah, and that's just this is just based off of technical analysis. Like, Microsoft really has no reason to be dropping unless something mysterious happens in the Red Sea. Numerous international subsea cables cut in the Red Sea, Microsoft claims. Which country do you think cut the lines? It's probably Yemen or Israel. I don't know. If you look at a map of like the Red Sea, I'm not going to pull up a map because it'll dox my location, but it's in, you know, in between Egypt and in between Saudi. So, suspicious. Some subsea lines were just surprisingly cut. Microsoft has reported that multiple international subsea cables were cut in the Red Sea, which could impact things like the Microsoft Azure cloud platform, right? They came out with this, the status update. So it's like, okay, maybe that is going to be the catalyst that drops Microsoft. That just happens to coincide with a technical analysis. And if the drop is significant enough, it will happen to coincide with the gap that we had down there. I forgot what the price was. I should have had a look at that. Anyways, here's like a map around, you know, Africa, the Middle East, South Europe. Several international undersea fiber optic cables were cut in the Red Sea, disrupting global internet connectivity. Around 70% of the internet traffic between Asia and Europe goes through the Red Sea. It's one of the main weapons the Houthis have. So that's why people are thinking it might be the Houthis in this case. Yemen is like, oh, here's Saudi Arabia. I'm blind. Yemen is right over here. I thought it was this over here. I'm looking at the wrong thing. This is the Red Sea right over here. And they're saying the cut happened somewhere. It's an intercontinental thing because it comes from Asia through here. I guess that helps. It like provides internet connectivity for Africa, Middle East, and then it goes up into Europe as well. That could be disruptive, but I think it's only Microsoft that it's affecting at this point. Of course, we don't know if it has an impact on the stock price of Microsoft yet. It is a Saturday. Stock markets are closed, but we will see on Monday when things open. Expect a possible crash on Microsoft. I would expect, at least. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Things tend to do the opposite of what I say. No, not always, though. I'm like 80% right. Robinhood will be joining the S&P 500, and yeah, we talked about MicroStrategy being the possible one to join the S&P 500. People were hyping it up since last week, like, oh, they're gonna join the S&P 500. It's gonna be big, and I don't think it rose too much on the news because by the end of the day, like, MicroStrategy is at a very low bottom, and it's not reacted to the news yet, so I think we're going to open with a gap lower on Monday when markets open, because we've been in a downtrend here for MicroStrategy. I know this downtrend looks awful, but I'll just adjust it. And I mean, when I'm drawing downtrends and things, I like to go on the daily chart because it just removes a lot of that noise. And what is this Fibonacci level? That's, it was valid for determining resistances. I guess not anymore. We got to look for drops now. I guess we could pay attention to something like this. Okay, well, I messed up already, but it's fine. Okay. We got a floor at 305 at least. Yeah, you're going to notice it hasn't really been rising due to the hype of it joining the S&P 500. I guess they wanted to wait for confirmation first. Yeah, there's no news on it either, and I was going to draw this downtrend over here. Something like that is what we got going on for MicroStrategy. And it ended up like, yeah, instead of that, it's Robinhood that joined the S&P 500, which the decision was made late in the evening on Friday yesterday. So that's why we don't see any reflection on the prices yet. We're going to have to wait until Monday to see the impact on the price of MicroStrategy, if there even will be any impact. Otherwise, I think things will just remain the same, because there was no real rise in the price. Like, if we saw something like a rise in the price because of optimism that MicroStrategy could be added to the S&P 500, and price was like still up here because of that rise, then on Monday I would expect like a drop, like, oh, it's not going here, we don't need to hold this asset anymore, and people will dump it. But I don't see any movement like that. I don't know if maybe this candle is it, but it seems like it's way too far back. August 22nd. I don't think we were discussing that by then. So it's going to be Robinhood. Congratulations to Robinhood. CEO came out to say, it's an exciting milestone to have Robinhood join the storied S&P 500 index. I'll share what I told the team today. We don't stop to celebrate. Our single focus remains building exceptional products for our customers. I might as well have a look at Robinhood's stock, which I don't think I've done in a hot minute. Well, it's been on the rise already. Maybe they kind of already knew. Robinhood chosen for S&P 500 as MicroStrategy misses out. So yeah, that was the big news. I guess Robinhood did figure, or yeah, did get involved already. This is post-market hours, right? Yeah, it doesn't show over here yet. So, I mean, by the time the real liquidity comes in, maybe we see all-time highs again for Robinhood. It's not that far off. 117, current price 101. Here's an analysis on like what happens when a stock joins the S&P 500. On average, when they get added, the stock rises roughly 18% within 6 months. Do with that information what you will. Okay. 120 possible by end of year. I'd say by end of month. I would think end of month. Yeah, I think immediately. Like, why not just, pump it up immediately? I'm basing this off of Coinbase because that's the one I lived to see this kind of movement when Coinbase got added to the S&P 500. Let me look that up. When did Coinbase get? Great. I put SP // What is this? I didn't click that. Oh boy. May 19. All right. May 19. Here. Yeah, look at this gap right over here. Coinbase gets added to the S&P 500. It rises from 208 to 231 and kept rising to 258. That is a huge percentage, my friends. I want to measure this movement. We close here. Open the next day at positive 10% already and rose at best 24% and closed the day at 22, almost 23% in one day from Coinbase being added to the S&P 500. Did I read this right? May 19? Wait, I might be reading this wrong. May 19. Oh. Wait, what? No, I'm pretty sure it was this. It was after its earnings. I recall. I think it was this date. I think you're lying to me. May 12 was when this news got released. I think we got the news about it like over here somewhere. It was something like that, but I recall like, oh, Coinbase is being added to the S&P 500 and then it rose that high. Like I remember that. Big movement. So can that happen with Robinhood? I think at least all-time high is fair enough. We'll see though. And of course, this is what Michael Saylor had to say about MicroStrategy not being added. Thinking about the S&P right now, he shows the chart of, the S&P 500's rate of return in a year, 14%. Bitcoin's rate of return in a year was 55%. And MicroStrategy had a 92% rate of return. He's like, all right, you guys are missing out by not adding the MicroStrategy to your S&P 500 index. Kind of a flex, cool, but yeah, that's all. I mentioned we'd give some updates on what's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of its reserves, who's holding, who's buying, who's selling, etc. Here's the update of the top holders of Bitcoin as of today. Satoshi Nakamoto, Mr. Bitcoin himself, holding 1.123 million Bitcoins. That's 5% of the supply. There's still 1,082,000 Bitcoins to be mined. Coinbase has 959,000. BlackRock has 750,000. Strategy has 636,000. Binance 588K. Bitfinex 395K. Rat Bitcoins DeFi 294K. 242K, sorry. And the rest are below 200K. Fidelity, US government, 200K almost. Grayscale, 177K. They've been selling off a lot. They used to be like where BlackRock was, and I think it was 500,000 they started off with, actually. Grayscale's ETF. And they've been selling off Bitcoin practically every day since the ETFs went public last year in March. Yeah. Robinhood is here too, 160,000 Bitcoins. Yeah. Crypto.com is here. Most of these are exchanges, right? Trying to see if there's anything interesting. UK government, 61,000 bitcoins. Chinese government is supposed to be here somewhere, but it can't be verified, which is true. They don't post that information publicly, but last we heard of is that they had 195,000 bitcoins. This is China. And we also heard rumors that they might have been selling off the bitcoin to buy gold, but that's not really verified in any way, like I said. So it's all speculation. We don't know for sure. They might make that number public when the crypto race or the Bitcoin gold rush, I don't know what you'd call it, like the arms race to get as much bitcoins starts happening, because I mentioned this before. There's been that kind of, Cold War arms race. Who can make the best weapons, the best military, who can show off their best military men, their strategies, not their strategies, but like, I don't know, their weapons, missiles, nukes, all that stuff. And then it became who can buy the most gold out of all the countries. And then it became who's better at making AI. That's the current race that's going on, the AI race. And then eventually it'll come to maybe crypto, right? That would be pretty cool. Bunch of countries like, I'm going to buy the most amount of Bitcoin. No, I will. No, me. No, me. You're going to have literal countries racing to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. The USA is sort of ahead of the race, but they haven't fully decided how they're going to acquire more Bitcoins. Senator Cynthia Lummis is still working on that. But hey, at least we have this. Where is it? USA government's 200,000 bitcoins. They will not sell that. So that's confirmed. The executive order was signed. We do have a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the United States. So that's good. And El Salvador is getting started with it as well. And Paraguay is also probably going to get involved with it. They will hold a meeting in September. We're already in September. September what? On creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And it's really cheap to mine Bitcoin in Paraguay. They, from what I heard, are one of the top energy producers in South America. Alongside Argentina or something. They're really close to each other. So that would be really interesting if they just suddenly start creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve and dedicate themselves to mining a lot of Bitcoin. That would pay off really good. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Paraguay. South American country, by the way. According to Ledger, between 2.3 to 3.7 million Bitcoins are permanently lost. That's like 11% of the total supply gone for forever. Remember, there's only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever exist. There's about 2 or 3 million, almost 4 million Bitcoins that are permanently lost. Supply shock incoming, right? That's going to be cool. Bitcoin usually bottoms in September, is the historical analysis of what a lot of people have been saying. This happened in 2023, 2024. It'll probably happen again. So a dip this month and a new all-time high in October is what people are expecting. After that, Bitcoin will rally above 150K by end of Q4. Like I said, people's targets are much higher than what mine is. I'm playing it safe at 135K. But hey, if you want Bitcoin to reach 150,000, I wouldn't be complaining. Alts would follow. And they're saying, September, we're expecting to see a bottom in September. I think we already bottomed out, to be honest. 107,000. Come on, we're getting rate cuts. That should be bullish. Ethereum. Jack Ma will be building an strategic Ethereum reserve. He has companies in China. I'm wondering how he's going to do this, because I think crypto is still banned in China, so I don't know. Maybe he has his ways. We shall see. He's a billionaire in China. There's a rumor going around that the European Union has picked Ethereum for the European stablecoin in a closed-door meeting. Not confirmed, none of that. It's just a rumor, so would be cool if true. SharpLink Gaming, which we know has been buying a lot of Ethereum, they plan to stake a portion of their Ethereum treasury, which, by the way, they have $3.6 billion worth on the Linear network once it launches its main net on September 10. So September 10, Sharplink Gaming will be staking some of their Ethereum. I don't think it's all, but if it was all of it at 3% APY, it's about $110 million a year that they'd be making from the 3.6 billion. It's not a big return, but I mean, it's there. You could get that same kind of return with this amount of money on safer assets, because Ethereum is volatile, but I think they're betting, the reason why they're holding on to it, the reason why they're staking it is because they want to hold on to it long term. That's what I meant to say. So in that sense, sure, go ahead, stake it. On-chain data shows that major players are steadily accumulating Ethereum, yet Ethereum saw nearly $1 billion, nearly $1 billion in outflows. What, dollars or? I'm pretty sure it is dollars. We can check in the ETF outflows here. Go to Ethereum last week. Okay, well, I think this roughly reaches, well, off your great start. 135.3 plus 38.2 plus 167.3 plus 446.8. Almost, yeah, it's practically almost $1 billion. This is in millions, so $787 million in outflows from ETFs in Ethereum last week alone. Nearly $1 billion in outflows last week. Sure, that makes sense. So it's $1 billion. You know why? It's mainly retail panic selling. With this kind of price action, yeah, the ETFs do have to outflow some Ethereum to kind of balance it out, right? Their stock price, or the ETF price that they have. So that's just normal, but we are still seeing a lot of whale accumulations silently happening on things like Ethereum. We're seeing the supply on exchanges at extremely low levels, and we're seeing a lot of shorts, of course, accumulating. I don't know what it is with people loving to short Ethereum, but hey, those are starting to pile up again. I don't think it's at record high levels that we've seen before, because otherwise I'd see posts about it. But they tend to pile on, and we already know what happens. Short squeeze inevitable. Altcoins, we have never seen them this oversold. This is a comparison of every other cryptocurrency's market cap versus Ethereum's market cap. And we are at oversold levels in this RSI in the weekly chart, which is interesting. Not even during COVID, not even during the peak bear market in year 22, not even in trade war and tariffs, right? We've never seen alts this oversold. So that can only mean one thing. Alt season is coming soon, probably, hopefully. And that's what Ethereum does have to do. Ethereum did have to make its all-time highs, have more dominance against every other altcoin before alt season genuinely happens. That's just how the cycles work. And we're already seeing some of that strength move over to something like Solana. Then we're going to see it move on to XRP. Then it's mainly the big caps first. Cardano still is undervalued, in my opinion, as one of the big caps. So it still has to make its moves. But then, I mean, when all of these big caps make their move, it's time for the small caps to, you know, they talk about the 10, 20% daily gains. We'll see if that's true at all. Oh, I skipped a post. World Liberty Financial Update. I know you guys are sick and tired of hearing it, but this is what I was talking about. People calling it a scam and a mafia play. This guy, Bruno Skvorts, got a reply from World Liberty Financial. TLDR is they stole his money, and it's because it's the president of the United States, his family, he can't do anything about it. This is the New Age Mafia. There is no one to complain to, no one to argue with, no one to sue. It just is. This is the scam of all scams, and he's adding Zach XBT, who we know is like the scam police, I guess, on Twitter. He's the Polygon DevRel. I don't know why He got his stuff blacklisted. The explanation he got from compliance is unfortunately due to the high risk blockchain exposure associated with your wallet address, we will not be able to unlock your tokens. Interesting. So people are concerned with the centralization of this kind of project, but World Liberty Financial came up with the explanation as to why they're blacklisting, and I covered all that stuff yesterday. It's because they want to protect the users, and it's not out of malicious intent that they're blacklisting people. They're doing it to protect the users, everybody else. One must die so that others may live, I guess. Updates on Sonic. The new SEC agenda has been revealed for the upcoming months. They will be revamping digital asset regulations. They will ease restrictive rules on Wall Street and exemptions and safe harbors for cryptocurrencies. A new day dawns as digital assets make their way into the United States, including Sonic now because that vote has now passed. Sonic Labs has committed an initial $40 million of a planned $100 million plus investment into Sonic Strategy, which is like the MicroStrategy but for Sonic, I guess, a publicly traded Sonic infrastructure company, to fuel the digital assets treasury flywheel. There you go. That's part of the governance vote that passed, right? What are we going to do with Sonic tokens? Well, approve ETFs, approve treasuries, and get involved with the US government. The full 100 million plus treasuries raise will drive $100 million in buy pressure on Sonic tokens as Sonic Strategy executes its long-term acquisition plan alongside pursuing a NASDAQ uplisting. So they will plan to release on the stock exchange, they will plan to have a treasury, and they have plans on, you know, constant buying, right? Kind of like what MicroStrategy does, but for Sonic. That will be great. If it's OTC, it means nothing for the price. Nonetheless, they do have to buy the tokens, though. Yeah. So that'll be good overall. And I'm still very, very bullish on the whole project because it genuinely is good. I shared these numbers in the past just verbally, but here's the actual showing you the chart kind of thing. Visa handles 24,000 transactions per second, right? MasterCard handles 5,000 transactions per second. These are rookie numbers. Solana does the same as Visa, right? Sui does like 10 times more. Am I right? No, I'm wrong. It's like 5 times more than what Solana does. I have the... Why am I struggling to remember? I have this chain spec. It shows you the transactions per second of a lot of projects. In theory, right? You could check them by theory. Kita, of course, looks to be absurd, and I do want to study this project, so I'll be looking into it. It's still on testnet, but in theory, they could do 10 million transactions per second, which is like bonkers. Bitcoin, for reference, only does 7 transactions per second. Wow, that is very slow, isn't it? Then you got Cardano with 18 transactions per second. That's like one of the main arguments people have for Cardano is like it's genuinely not that great in terms of transactions per second. What is the real use case? Who is actually bullish on Cardano for this kind of stuff? Yeah, it was better in 2021 when there wasn't so much competition, but now there is, right? Ethereum is better than Cardano. I mean, yeah, obviously we see that already reflected on its market cap, right? Ethereum's second largest coin ever. So Ethereum does 119 transactions per second, which is still relatively slow, and we see very high gas fees with Ethereum a lot of the time when there's a lot of traffic, right? I'm trying to find... Okay, Polygon is 714. Phantom was what Sonic used to be. Phantom used to do 1,476 transactions per second, which is like practically almost what Avalanche does, 1,191 transactions per second. Why am I showing you this? Because it's important. Oh, Stellar does 2,000 transactions per second. That's new. Sonic now, the rebrand of Phantom, went from 1,400 to practically 400,000 transactions per second. And that's what this post shows, right? MasterCard does this amount of transactions per second. Visa, a little more, 24,000. But Sonics is like way more than that. 400,000 transactions per second. Like global card payments would use less than 10% of Sonic's network throughput, which that's big numbers, right? Then you got ICP, which people have trust issues with it. Aptos is here, which is why I'm bullish on Aptos. 160,000 transactions per second. And then you have Sui as well, 120,000 transactions per second. Much better than Solana, which does, it's 65,000 transactions per second. I thought it was 20,000. I was wrong on my numbers. Which means like, you know, Solana is supposed to be the Ethereum killer. Ethereum, remember, only does like 120 transactions per second in theory. Solana does much more than that. That's why it's fast. That's why it's cheap. And it's been more popular for releasing things like meme coins and all that. But, you know, you have other options. You have Ton. Ton was really good. Telegram coin. Sui. Aptos is much better than Sui. And then you have Sonic, which is much better than those. All of those combined. So it's got the potential. Undervalued AF. Wealth Simple apparently got hacked or something. They say the personal client data was accessed in a security breach. This sucks for me because I do have a Wealth Simple. I don't want more scam calls, please. I'm tired of that. Like, I've been applying for jobs and stuff. I still am. And every time I get a phone call, I'm like, oh, please be a job interview. I answer, and it's just a robotic voice. And like, oh, okay, my phone will be canceled in 24 hours unless I press 1 to speak with an agent. And it's usually some Indian guy. So you also get other phone calls like people, I don't know what it is. Hey, if you guys are watching or whatever, what are you doing? I know you're clearly a scam. Like, I answer the phone, I say hello, it's silent, and then like I could feel them unmuting their microphone because you hear the background noise first, and then they'd be like, hello, mister, and then they say my full government name, which nobody addresses me by my full government name. Come on now. If you want to talk to me, you would just ask, hey, am I speaking with Matthew? And be like, yeah, you are. That kind of stuff. But no, they started addressing me by my full government name and say they're from some sketchy company and they want to talk about my investment. I was like, what? What are you talking about? You want to know about my investments? They're right here. This is all I got. For legal reasons. Yeah, so anyways. Don't know why I brought that up, but yeah. Oh yeah, scam calls. I don't want any more of those. And yeah, that's the whole thing, right? It's like, please be a job interview. Please call me for a job interview. I pick up and it's just like a scam call. It's like, okay, right. Thanks for wasting my time. And sometimes I'm like busy too. It's so annoying to answer phone calls. Especially if they're just nothing. Like, you're doing something important. You get a call like, oh, okay, I guess I better answer because what if it is a job interview and what if I just don't answer that job interview call? Wouldn't be great. Look, right? So I gotta answer it. And I stop what I'm doing and I answer it and it's just a scam call or like, you know, there's many different types of like robotic voices, scam calls, stuff. And it's like, oh gosh, okay, whatever. Hang up, block, report, and I go back to doing what I was doing. You know, it's annoying. Nobody likes that. So, anyway. Yeah, that's the end for the stream tonight. Wow, we actually filled up a whole hour and more from yapping too hard. What did we end off in World Liberty Financial? That's what I want to check before I end for real. Did I sell the top? Am I just not the best seller here? Best seller. What is this? Let me see the number. I guess I just check my trade history. Gosh, okay. 2251. 2275. Okay, it would have been at 200 by now. Maybe. And our highest was 2290. I sold at 2251. It's fine. We made profit nonetheless. I don't know anybody who lost money by taking profits, is what the old saying is. All right, cool. Yeah, that's it for the stream then tonight. Thanks guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you guys for subscribing, and I will see you maybe tomorrow. I do have stuff to do tomorrow, but I'll probably have enough time to stream, get a cheeky streaming. Yeah, so we'll see you by then. All right, have a good night. Bye.